Hi, my name's Quinlan and this is Melbourne Musos. Once again, I'm actually going on with triggers and samples on my drum set to sort of put across the idea of different kinds of things. Like last episode was the half diminished scale and all this sort of business. And there's that one. And what I'd like to do tonight is actually quickly talk about intervals. An interval is the distance between two notes. So if you're going to play a scale, you literally just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you want to do a compound interval, it will be 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, you see. So this is where we get things like a C add 9 and a G sus 4 and all of this sort of business, you see. But what I want to talk about actually, rather than just talking about chords and all the different wonderful names of chords and all this sort of business, is the actual idea of the distance between two notes. Now we call it intervals, that's what it is. So if you're going to do a fourth, 1, 2, 3, 4, C to F, for instance, what does that give us? You see? So different intervals are sort of famous for different sounds. If you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 5. Power chord, you see. Minor second. Car alarm. Do you see what I mean? But one of the big things you want to be able to do with intervals is work with them in parallel sometimes. Okay, this is what Bach does. He's dead. Anyway, his music lives on. But what happens? I could have probably worded that a bit better. But anyway, what it is when you're actually learning oral training by the book, you know, through theory and whatnot, generally speaking, the first level 1 kind of intervals you want is a major third, 1, 2, 3, do a dear. Then you have the fifth, perfect fifth, then a perfect octave. So on it goes. That's level 1. Level 2, you really start bringing in a couple of different things like a minor third. So you get okay, so if we're doing it via the piano, middle C, on the guitar it's here. And then the third, minor third would be E flat. Okay. Minor third. Then you want the major seventh, actually, funnily enough. Notice it sounds bad. It sounds wrong, okay? A major 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The funny thing about a major 7 is that when you put, say, a normal C triad together, which is built from the first, third and fifth of the scale, so you have the first, the major third, perfect fifth, and then the octave. And then you put in the major 7. Therein lays the lovely lyric, I love you baby. I love you baby, yeah, ooh. But if you take the root note and just play the major 7th by itself, oh boy. What happens is you put in the major 3rd, all of a sudden, the correlation between the major 3rd of the scale and the flattened 7th, the flat 7th, the major 7th of the scale, smooths it right out, you see. And when you actually talk about things like the 3rd, pardon me, which is an E of C, and then you go to the B. It's perfect fifth within itself. So there you go. You see the wonders of theory. It's like all these little black dots are flying everywhere, and you know, that kind of stuff. It's just a wonder. So I'm going to leave you with that I've only done level 1 and level 2 of interval training, really. Level 3 is you start to talk about the 6th and the 4th and the 2nd, all of this sort of business. I'll leave that for another time. But what I want to do with tonight's show is, with the drum set pieces I've prepared for tonight's show, I'm working with intervals, you see. It's not so much that I'm going to play a whole chord. I'd need, 3, 4, 5 drumsticks or whatever it might be. But I imply it, you see. Like I arpeggiate it because it's triggered on the toms and stuff like that. So there's all that sort of thinking. So when you listen to the pieces that I put together for tonight's episode, this is what I've done. I've actually tried to sort of work with, whenever I'm working with samples and triggers and all that, I'm working with layers. Okay, so what will happen is I'll be starting off with, like I explained last episode, a half diminished scale, all right? And then I'll work with an app with voices that come in a fourth above that. I actually sit down and I work it out, sort of thing. And if the voices are in F, okay, so there's F. And maybe my half diminished scale is with a B. So there's nice good old F major 7 or F. And there you go. So you see, everything layers like that. So when I'm getting a piece together, what I try and do is I might start in a certain tonality, and then that tonality will morph to like an augmented fourth, such as in a Lydian mode, okay? And it might go somewhere else. So I'll bring in something in the relative minor and all this sort of stuff. So when I'm sitting down and I'm working out my samples, I actually take the time to work out whether, the low voices, which are like a low Gregorian chant going, if that's D, that kind of thing, I'll know how to work, the F against it, things like that. So if it's D minor, then it's the relative major, because you've got a D, okay, what have we got? Sound a tiny little bit Celtic there, but anyway, there's something about what I'm going to show you tonight, only over there on the drum set. Hope you get something out of it. Thank you very much for watching.